So I'm getting ready to drain the oil. I won't show you that, but just wanted to show you the gallon jug. And if you look on the back, it says to add 2 ounces per quart. So if you got a gallon like this Prius, then you'd only add 8 ounces. We're going to be adding the full 128 ounces. And worst fears is that the carrier oil that they used is cheap and it'll evaporate off, causing a low oil condition. But I'll be monitoring that in between stops. I'll also be monitoring any fuel consumption gains or losses. And I probably haven't told anybody on my channels, but I only change my oil once a year in all my vehicles. I don't care how many miles I put on it, I only change them once a year. So if you're worried about my engine breaking down, all my vehicles always last over 300,000 miles. Alright, but I do use fully synthetic. I use Mobil 1, I use Amazon Basic, and today we're going to do nothing but Motorkote. Alright, so stick around. So we're going to be monitoring gas consumption and oil usage after we put this in. I did want to show you that it hasn't been opened yet. The directions, only call for a couple ounces, but I wanted to put this stuff to the test. So let's go ahead and add most of this. I suppose maybe I should shake it up, but as far as I know, there's no properties or particulate in this stuff, but hey, might as well be careful, right? So I'm sure you realize by now I've already changed the oil. Didn't think you wanted to be part of that process. I am getting ready to make a long trip, but mostly this is used just in state. Again, on the interstates, I only get 38 miles to the gallon. I did, however, when I got down to the Florida Keys, because of the speed out there, I actually got 60 miles to the gallon. Now, one thing about this, I'm going to be carrying an extra quart of oil with me and checking this, maybe at first every fill up. I just don't want to run this thing out of oil. And I'm just going to leave about 2 or 3 ounces in here and snug it up, and let's take some tests. Everyone, how about the results? Alright, so I've got this thing on cruise control right now, and I have driven, I don't know if you can see that, 4,291 miles. It's going to be probably closer to 4,400 miles. And I'm hoping this focuses it because I'm not looking at all, but it says that I right now 45.9 miles to the gallon. That's kind of been typical on this trip, and I can tell you normally I generally only get 38 to 40 miles to the gallon. I think because I have a lead foot, I've calmed it down, obviously for this video, but while off the camera, generally no one is passing me. So my baseline is 38 to 40 miles to the gallon, and the first trip I went from Florida to Ohio, went straight up. We got 44 miles to the gallon, and then 46 miles to the gallon, 45 miles to the gallon. Every time you refill, of course, it resets. And then something interesting happened on the way back. We were going through the Virginia mountains off of 81, and on that trip I got 48 miles to the gallon. Now, of course, I wasn't pushing any wind, so must have had a lot of help from the regenerative braking. I wasn't driving that one fast, too many sharp bends without any guardrails, but yeah, 48 miles to the gallon in the mountains of Virginia. So on this trip, and then the last leg of the trip, the first trip, I was asked to slow down several times, and even at that, I still got 40 miles to the gallon. So I'm going to go with a low estimate of a 10% increase in mileage. The same thing happened around town. Now, I don't generally go too far, and the AC is on constantly. I generally only get 38 miles to the gallon. My trips are very small, between 2 and 4 miles, so that's the biggest killer. The engine not warming up to temperature really kills your gas mileage, but it has increased to 42. Now on this last trip, the temperature up north changed, and when I woke up this morning it was 39 degrees. So I noticed that the mileage went way down to 27. It didn't stay there because I kept driving, of course, and was refueling. But by the time I had to refuel, the mileage was 43. I thought that was rather good, considering lead foot and all. And as you can see right now, hopefully you can see that, the mileage is 45.9. So this might be a little bit subjective. I'm going to have one more video, and that's with my Sprinter van, and that one's very interesting because it has a fixed route. I travel exactly the same course, exactly the same route, and everything is generally cruise control, and that baseline is 19.7 miles to the gallon, and that's with the highs and the lows. And one of the things that I have to do is pull a trailer sometimes, so that includes that as well. But I thought this was pretty fascinating. I did see 54 miles to the gallon coming out of North Carolina on the first trip. That was only for about 27 miles. Must have been all downhill at that time. And I thought the results were worth it. I definitely wouldn't recommend it to everyone because the cost of the Motorkote is a lot more than oil, and I doubt you'd ever make your money back in fuel savings. But interesting nonetheless. Stay with me for the next video. It will be the Dodge Sprinter. I'll take some time on that to make sure there's sufficient miles racked up on that one. And appreciate y'all watching. Tell me what your results were without the Motorkote, especially if you have a Prius. I don't really know the baseline. I just know that, you know, if you drive fast, you use a lot more fuel, and I'm not that guy that's hypermiling it. And don't know if you noticed, there was some police in the background while I was filming this, so yeah, you can see everybody's driving kind of tame right now. But what do you generally get in your Prius, and how long are your trips around town? My trips are very small, don't really get a chance for it to heat up. Yeah, drop a comment below, tell me what you got. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, give it a thumbs up, and we'll try to spend some money and do some more interesting things. Anyway, thanks for watching. See ya.